Hello there, I'm Akakami Ryu, and welcome to the Red Dragon Review. I will now present to you my review. Today I am going to review the last of the Atelier Iris trilogy. Again, I just call it trilogy because it's 3 Atelier Iris games that came out one after another. Atelier Iris 3 Grand Phantasm. I don't want to reiterate, but these games are hard to come by. So if you have got a chance, buy them. I'll buy them from you. Now for the review. Atelier Iris 3 takes place in a completely different world where your main protagonists, Edge and Iris, yeah, surprise, you actually get to play as Iris this time around, are members of a guild. The storyline is completely different here. Iris is trying to find basically more about alchemy, which is essential to her heritage, as she is the last known alchemist, well, ever. So there's that. And then there's the whole advancement with the story. The story kind of, the main overline of the story kind of presents itself as you play. But I'm not going to go too much into that because I'm going to go into the main differences between this and the other Atelier Iris games, as this also ties in with the story and overall gameplay. Number one, mana have a completely different role. You're still able to make pacts with mana spirits, but they have a completely different role. They are not essential for synthesis, nor are you able to use elemental extraction and stock up on elements. They do, however, allow Iris to gain some pretty nifty attacks, so I recommend collecting them all, even though a couple of them are optional. Number two, the item synthesis. In order to create item synthesis, you have to collect the raw materials, and Iris can create them. So in order to do so, you either have to come across the recipes, which you either find in chests throughout these other worlds that this town is connected to, or by completing quests. And there's a third one where Iris becomes inspired if you switch around the ingredients in certain recipes or from items in areas in the outer world. She'll see something and come up with an idea for a recipe. The drawback with this is if you want to make the really top-notch items, you usually have to synthesize each ingredient individually, which also requires synthesis of ingredients. So in order to create the top tier items, you have to create a lot of lower ones. This is also another drawback. Iris has alchemic skill, meaning the more you synthesize, or the more different recipes you synthesize, better her alchemic skills get, which means she can synthesize better items, equipment, and armor, weapons and armor. So you, even if you do not necessarily use the item, it's still a good idea to synthesize it so you get the new recipes, etc., to advance it. But in my opinion, it was a bit of a drag because it was like, oh, got to synthesize so I can make the items I really want. But because otherwise, sometimes I was creating stuff that I didn't really need. Anyways, I digress. Another aspect is these other worlds that I mentioned before. This town is connected to other worlds by these purple mists. And each other world is a dungeon, which means that is where you will level up, fight monsters, etc. As part of this guild, you have to advance your rank in the guild by completing quests out in there. And as your rank increases, so advances the storyline. So in a sense, you have to do a lot of side quest stuff in order to advance the main storyline, rather than just play through. A little annoying for some of those who just like to play the main quest and that's it. But there is always good items you can still get. Another aspect of this is that monster encounters are no longer completely random. Monsters are out in the open. Well, not, I wouldn't really call them. You can't really see them. They are more represented by colored blobs. And the blobs come in 3 colors: red, white, and blue. Yay, America. Anyways, the red ones are monsters that are higher than your party's current level. White ones are at your party's current level, and blue ones are below it. An interesting aspect is as Edge, who you mainly control, can do what's called a preemptive strike. He can swing his sword, which he primarily uses just to clear away grass if I hit items, and strike the blobs ahead of time, giving your party a chance to attack before the enemy can do so. Many people have seen about this various methods in other games, attacking the enemy from behind, etc. What I actually enjoyed was when I went into a place where I knew my level was high, the monsters were all blue. And if I used the preemptive strike on them, I didn't even have to do a battle. So I didn't have to waste lives, weapons, etc. on facing them. I could just hack through and move on. The reason I like that is because when you're in these outer worlds, you are on a time limit. Meaning, once the time runs out, you're automatically ejected from the world/dungeon. Which means you have a short amount of time in order to complete the missions you have there. Even essential storyline missions. If you get too much into level grinding, you're going to get booted and you have to start from the dungeon from square one. So you got to kind of weigh your options on how you want to do things like that. I mentioned before about the mana having a different role and giving Iris unique attacks. Their other role that they gain in here is allowing Edge and your other character, Nell, the ability to change their classes a little bit. So they gain new weapons, armor, and stats and attack abilities when they have a different mana equipped to them. That's about it, but it makes a difference with the gameplay because you only have 3 characters. So you kind of have to. So it's kind of like Final Fantasy X-2, where you have to figure out what's the best class combo for the area you're in or the boss you're about to face. So you have to weigh in that. So that was some improvement, but again, I'm none too pleased overall with this storyline. Atelier Iris 3, I didn't really care for too much. I liked it better than 1. For some the play, I would rank it higher than 1 for a lot of the improvements that happened since 1, playability, battle sequences, etc. But storyline, I would rank it lower. Just me. I didn't really care for the story overall. It felt odd, in my opinion, as to actually what happened, and a twist near the end totally made me go WTF. I'm not going to really spoil it for you because I would like people to play games and come up with their own experiences and come up with their own reviews and decisions regarding games. So that's all I have to say on Atelier Iris 3. So again, if you get a chance, play it or any of the Atelier games. All right. Until next time, this is Akai Kami Ryu saying goodnight. Have fun playing.